Well, hello, Richard here, and welcome back to Stuff You Can Do in Excel, Tableau, and Power BI. We're in part 3 of our discussion of doing dashboards in Tableau. We're going to look at basic data filtering in this video. In a later video, we'll look at how to apply some more advanced data filtering to your actual dashboard once you get it created. But let's go look at the basics of filters before we get started here. So we've got our interface with Tableau. I'm going to open up a file here that I'm calling, let's see if I can find that file. It's well, I got to find the file, don't I? There it is. Cookeville Medical Supplies. So here's my file. And it wants me to drag this over here, so I'm going to drag it over to there. So it's going to open my file. I'm going to use my data interpreter on it to fix there we go. So I've got my headers all the way I want them. Now I'll go look at my sheet. So here we go. Here's our sheet, and let's just say right off the bat we want customers, and for each customer you want to know the sales for that or the amount due from that customer. So there's that data, and it's all kind of mixed up. I could drag city over color, and what it would tell me is it would tell me the cities that each one of these things are in, and whether or not each of these are Cookeville cities. In fact, if I drag city over here onto my columns, and it now has at the top it's got my name of my customer, and at the bottom it's got Cookeville, and I can see that every time I see Cookeville, a dark green, that's a Cookeville item, right? Now, it may be that what I really want to do is I want to arrange these a little differently, and I might just want to look at Cookeville, or I might just want to look at Franklin, or just at Sparta. So how do I do that? How do I eliminate and just look at one at a time? Well, there's several ways to do that, but the simplest way would be to take city and drag it into this box right here called filters. Right above marks is a box called filters. Now, if I drag city into filters, I create a filter right here, and I can simply go in and look at these. Let's click none, and then I'm just going to click the only one I want to look at is Cookeville. And when I click on that, there it is. There's my Cookeville items. And what I can do is I can rearrange those if I wish. My smallest, let's do largest to smallest, just so we see who our largest customers are. And now, as long as city is up here in my columns, it's going to give me this down here at the bottom and the customer name at the top. If I really don't need the city, I can drag that back off of here, and it moves the names of my customers back to the bottom. And if I move city back over here, it again puts city at the bottom and my customer names at the top. So that's kind of another little trick you'll notice when you're using these filters. Now, another way to get to these filters, to get to this filter, if I've got it, and here's my customers, largest to smallest. If I wanted to get to this, another way to do this would be click on this down arrow for city, and I could go to filter, and it would open up the exact same window that we had before. So that's kind of helpful to know that we can open this, get to it different ways. Maybe I want to do Cookeville and Sparta, and I could do that. Hit OK, and it just gives me the two of those, right? Now, if I drag city, if I drag customer after city, it's actually going to group them by city first. But maybe that's not what I want. I do this, and now, and one of the things I can see from this is in the Cookeville Sparta area, my 4 largest customers are all from Cookeville. Then I've got some in Sparta. I got a couple more in Cookeville, one in Sparta, and so you can see gradually the size of the importance of the customer goes down based on how much they owe. My 4 largest amounts owed are right here in town. Those are going to be my easiest ones to get in touch with and actually try to collect from. So this is a real quick, useful tool on filters. One of the things we're going to see later is when we create our dashboard and we have multiple visuals on a single dashboard, not only will we see how easy it is to create a filter that you can see, but we can link those filters together. Now, right now you can't actually see the filter on the screen, and that's kind of a pain. If you remember, if you go to Excel, every time you create a filter, it actually creates a little box over here on the right. Well, we're going to do that when we do our actual dashboard, but right now that does not show up there, okay? So if I want to have a filter, it's got to be in this filter box, or I've got to do the drop-down filter here. Another way to do that, by the way, if I wanted to do that filter, is if I clicked, let's say I click on Cookeville, and then I say keep or exclude, I can keep only Cookeville, and when I click on that, look what it does. It gives me just the Cookeville customers. And when I click anywhere on my screen, it turns them all the same color. So that's another way to get to that. I can then go back and take that filter. You notice I put the filter back in here. I can take it out. If I wanted to click on, let's say Sparta, let's pick Sparta. Sparta is my pink. If I click on that and then keep only, it's going to keep just the Sparta customers. And notice it stuck it back up here. Even though I drug it off originally, it sticks it back up here in the filter. And if I click on that filter and I look at the edit filter, it shows me the only thing clicked is Sparta, right? So it did this, checking the boxes for me just by doing the right click. So there's about 3 different ways we can get to these filters. One is to drag it into the filter box. The second is to click the down arrow on an item in your columns. And the third way is to click on a column and it asks you, do you want to exclude that or you want to keep it? When you keep it, it's going to actually create a filter up here, and you can go in and edit that filter just like we have before. Now we have this little thing that says show filter. All that's really going to do is just put the filter up there so you can see it temporarily. It doesn't really help us much. So when we go to edit filter, that's what we want, and that'll help us to filter our data and sort so we look at just the data we want to look at.